Hello. So for today's video, I decided that I would tell you guys about an experience that happened to me back when I was first dyeing my hair. And the reason I thought about it is because my hair is pretty hideously outgrown right now by like 3 or 4 inches. And that is just because I am extremely lazy and I just haven't had time to redo the roots. Yeah, so I'm actually a walking contradiction because I get bored of the way that I look on a constant basis, so I'm constantly changing myself, but I'm also extremely lazy. So, yeah, it's like a war going on within my head at all times. Also, there's like a huge gap in light on this side of the room, as you can see, and it looks pretty creepy. And there's like a weird white dot. I don't even know, like, what is that? Oh, so it's a mirror. Okay, so it's just a mirror. Don't worry. It's nothing creepy. But anyways, on with my story. When I was about, I want to say 15, I may have been younger, I'm not sure. I remember back when I was about that age, somebody had asked me if I would ever dye my hair blonde. And the reason is because when I was born, it was like this really beautiful golden blonde sun-kissed hair that was just beautiful. And as I got older, it started turning more of like a brownish, kind of like what you see now. Yeah, and I think one of the words to describe it is dirty dishwater blonde, or at least that's something that I had heard people describe it as, which is not a very attractive name for the color, you know? So I started wanting something different. But when somebody had asked me if I would ever dye it back then, I was like, never. And that's literally what I said. And, you know, in the recent years, I've pretty much learned to never say never, which sounds like ridiculous and totally like cliche. But it's completely true. Because there's like a 99, actually let's just say 100% chance that I will change my mind and end up doing it. Because for one, I always change my mind. For two, I'm extremely compulsive. So there's really no telling what I'm going to do. So if I say I'll never do something, there's a pretty high chance that I'll actually do it. So I don't say that I'll never do it, but sometimes I'll just say that I won't do it and then end up doing it. So anyways, I said that I would never dye my hair. That was before I learned, you know, this area of myself. And when I was about 15, I want to say, I decided that I was going to put blonde streaks in my hair. And so me and my sister, we went to the store and we bought like the cheapest blonde dye we could find. And if you have any experience dyeing your hair whatsoever, you know that it's that cheap for a reason. You should not ever get the cheapest dye possible, ever. So it's worth going to Sally's. It's worth getting like the one that I would always use if you're going to use a box dye. I would definitely recommend L'Oreal. They've got really good, it stays on really well. It's a really good, you know, box dye. It's about $10 to $12, which is about middle for buying a hair dye. And it's definitely worth it because the $5 one will not work. And you will see that in my story right now that I'm about to tell you. So we bought this blonde dye. It was like $5 at like Walgreens or something. We got home, we put it away, and for whatever reason, we decided that we were going to dye my hair the next day. Well, me wanting to do it right away, I decided that I was going to try my hand at dyeing my hair by myself. And I got up at like 2 in the morning, and I went to the bathroom, and little did I know that this was going to be an ongoing habit of me dyeing my hair at 2 in the morning. So this was like the start of all that. I went to the bathroom, I shook up the bottle, I put everything together, and again, anyone who dyes their own hair should know that sometimes blonde hair dye looks blue before you apply it into your hair, right? So there's like this bottle of like this blue goo stuff that I was going to put in my hair. And I decided to do the strand test because I was new at dyeing my hair. which now I'm just like, strand test, you know. So, but back then I actually, I actually wanted to do things right because it was my first time. So I did the strand test. I took a little strand of hair, and put it in there. I was all excited, all this stuff. Well, when you put it in there, you have to let it sit for about 40 minutes or so. And so I put it in there. I went back out. I snuck back out, to my bed because I was sharing a room with my sister at the time. So I snuck back through there to my bed in the dark, kind of dozed off a little bit for about 40 minutes. And then I got back up and went back into the bathroom to check my hair. Well, first of all, my hair looked exactly the same as it did before I put the color in there, with just weird blue crusty stuff on it. And so it didn't even do anything, first of all, okay? And then I look at the bottle that had the blue hair dye, or, it looked blue at the time, in the bottle. And the bottle was about, I don't know, I want to say a little bit bigger than it was when I first put it in there. And there was this blue stuff oozing out of the top of it. Those of you who dye your hair all the time know exactly where I'm going with this. If you get a box dye and you check the instructions, you will see on there that it says, do not store leftover product. And we all know that when there's a warning issued on something, it's because somebody somewhere has figured out why this warning issue is on there, right? There's a reason. So, if it wasn't me, if it wasn't someone else, it would have been me. I would have been the reason that this warning was issued on there. So, without giving too much away, which I already did, this blue stuff was oozing out of the top. It's kind of oozing out, and I'm just what the heck? It's my first experience. I don't know. So it's 2 in the morning, or actually it was 2:45, 3 o'clock in the morning at this point. I can't really go through the house and look for something to plug the bottle with. Yeah, that's where my mind went. Okay, I wanted to plug the bottle because even though it didn't work on my hair, I wasn't going to waste the whole bottle of product, right? And for some reason I was thinking that if I went to sleep again, maybe in the morning it would magically transform into blonde, even though it was clearly not turning blonde. So I washed all that out, and then I was trying to find, some way to preserve this bottle of hair dye. And because it was still kind of oozing out of the top still, at a very slow speed, but it was still coming out. And I was like, how can I save this? So I was looking around the bathroom trying to find, anything, and I spotted a nail on the wall that was just sticking in the wall. Nothing was hanging on it. And it was kind of just oh, And so I was like, yes, that is what I'll use to plug this hole. Because I was so smart, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. So I took out the nail, and I stick it in the top of the bottle, right? Which it fit perfectly. It was it was meant to be, right? I was like, yeah, this nail was put here exactly for this reason. So I shove it in the top, and it seemed like a perfect fit. It was the perfect lid to this bottle. And then I just went back to bed and didn't even think twice, right? And I was like, all my problems are solved. I'm a genius. So the next day, I go into the bathroom, and first of all, my hair was exactly the same color. There was no magical transformation in the middle of the night as far as my hair turning blonde at all. So I knew at that point that I'd wasted those $5 to buy this stupid hair dye because it didn't work at all. And I look at the bottle, and at this point it's about 2 times the size that it originally was in the first place. Except this time the nail was still in there. I don't know how this happened, but the nail was still stuck in there. And the bottle was just huge. This big ol' massive bottle. And not only that, but it looked like it was gonna explode at any given second, okay? You could just see the pressure inside the bottle. You could just see it. It was like a time bomb waiting to explode. And so I didn't want to touch this thing, right? Because I knew that the second I touched it, it was gonna explode. Well, as I'm standing there staring at this bottle of hair dye, wondering what I should do with my life and kind of contemplating my life choices, my dad walks in and he sees this bottle just sitting there of hair dye. And it was like a slow motion movie where he's like reaching out to grab the bottle, and I was just like, no, like trying to like stop him, but I couldn't get there in time. And so he grabs the bottle, and that was all it took. The nail goes shooting out like a rocket, and so does the rest of the hair dye. It's just like all over the place. And, it got on the mirror, it got on the ceiling, it was on like 2 walls, and it was blue, so there's just like this blue, foaming, weird hair dye all over the place, And then like me and my dad, he's still holding the bottle, and I was like standing next to him, and we were both just like staring at the mirror, like, what just happened, And then he like looks at me, and he was like, "You're cleaning that up." And then he puts it down and walks away. He just walks away. And he left me there to clean up all this blue stuff on the ceiling. And so not only did I, it's not like it was going to work on my hair anyway. But now I can tell you that if the bottle says do not store the product, don't store the product, because it'll explode and it'll get all over the place. So that's the moral of the story. Now that I've done this video, I am actually inspired to go do my roots. And I'm saying that now, but I'll probably still be too lazy to do it. But yeah, I thought that I would share with you my first hair dyeing experience. After that, because the story's not over yet. Sorry. Me and my sister decided to go buy a better brand, right? So I think we ended up getting like the L'Oreal, I think it was like the L'Oreal Streaks thing, where you're supposed to like put this weird like cap on your head, and it like has holes in it, and then you like grab some hair and you pull out the hair, and then you're wearing this weird alien cap thing, and then you pull out the hair and it's like just sticking out all strange and weird, and then you're just supposed to dye the part that's out of the cap, and then when you take out the cap, and you wash out your hair, it's supposed to be easy streaks, right? So it seems easy enough. Somehow, me and my sister messed up, and I don't even know how this happened now that I think about it. We messed up, and the whole dye ended up getting on all of my hair. So for my first hair dyeing experience, I ended up with a whole head of bleach blonde hair, and I had never, it had never been that color before. I went from a natural hair to my whole head being bleach blonde, and I was like, freaking out. And nowadays it's not that big of a deal because my hair's been like every color imaginable at this point. So it's like if I mess up, I'm just like, eh. But back then it was a pretty big deal. And then thus began the journey of dyeing my hair, and I've never gone back since. I've thought about going back natural, but my hair grows so slow. It actually goes slower than my rate of laziness. So eventually I'll get really sick of my hair being this way, and I will do the roots eventually, because my hair just grows so slow. So, I don't know what else I was going to say. Totally lost my train of thought. So anyways, thank you for watching this video, and if you have any other funny or strange hair dyeing experiences that have happened to you, I would love to hear from them. Comment, or you can like my video or anything like that. Thank you for watching.